Hey y'all, this is Cornelius Lindsey. Thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel. I hope that you're watching this with somebody else. I hope that ultimately you're gathering together with some people, that you're watching this with them. I hope that the information that you do receive, I hope that you're growing from it. I hope that it encourages you. And if this encourages you, I pray that you'll go and find somebody else and you'll share this with them, and ultimately you'll help to share the word that, you know what, I just got some good information and I want to be able to share this with somebody else. But I think it's really important that we talk about hurt. I don't know if you've ever been hurt before, but I know I've been hurt before. And many times when you've been hurt before by different people, what happens is we build up almost this immunity to wanting to be loved. We almost put up this wall that says, I don't know if I can let this person help me because of the hurt that I've experienced in my life. Throughout my life, I've been hurt by many people the same way that all of us are. We've all been hurt some way, some shape, some form. I've experienced what people call church hurt, which really isn't church hurt. The church never hurt you. It was just some people in your life who are going to the church and who are not being the church. It was just some of those people who just really did some really grimy things and they hurt you. And you know what? That's a part of life. But I've experienced some of those things, and I've been a part of organizations where I didn't feel like they treated me right, or I've been working at companies, been an employee that I didn't feel like I got treated right, and so I had job hurt. I had relationship hurt because I didn't feel like the relationship went the way I wanted it to, or I had friendship hurt where I didn't feel like the friendship went the way that I wanted it to. I had all these different hurts in my life, and what happens over the years, you begin to build up this wall, and this wall becomes the barrier that keeps you from really experiencing, new things and really experiencing new relationships with new people, because you've been hurt. As a pastor of a church, one of the worst things that you can do is to be isolated. I've learned that. I know that from experience. And in fact, in life, you don't want to be isolated. God tells us in the book of Genesis, it's not good for man to be alone. In fact, isolation is actually a point of torture inside of a prison. That when the inmate, when he acts up, they put him in isolation. Any man will go crazy. I don't care how strong he thinks he is. Any man will go crazy when he is left alone with his own mind. That is because we are relational beings. We relate one with another. We need something to relate to. In fact, it is scientifically proven that our elders, they live longer when there's just somebody there with them. Maybe it's a spouse is still there. Maybe they have a cat, or they have a dog, or they have a fish, something they can take care of, something they can hold on to, something they can reach out to, something they can feed, something they can wipe up behind. If they have something there with them, then now they can be relational. But it's not good for us to be alone. And hurt puts us in this place of isolation to make us feel as if we need to be by ourselves. And that's just a lie from the enemy. Now, I know from my own life, it's very difficult trying to convince myself that being hurt by some people in the past doesn't mean I won't either be hurt again, or doesn't mean I will be hurt again. But I had to learn some things that really helped me along the way to say, you know what, Cornelius, you can't keep living like this. One of the biggest things is I had to realize where I was putting my expectation. Expectation says a lot about you, and I don't think we talk enough about it. You get frustrated when your expectations are not met. I'll say that again. Frustration builds when your expectations are not met. What that means is that you're expecting something to happen and it doesn't happen. I don't know if you were like I was as a child. I would say, I want to go to Disney. I want to go to Disney. I want to go to Disney. Well, when I didn't go to Disney, then I got frustrated. Or I say, I want to go to the skating rink. I want to go to the bowling alley. I want to go here. I want to go here. And I build up this expectation for it. And if it doesn't happen, I get frustrated. You build up the expectation thinking that the relationship or the marriage is going to turn out to be this roses and tulips type of story, and it's not. You get frustrated, or you expected. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. This is a small one, but I know it happened to me. It's that plate of leftover food that you've been dying to get home to. It's like you have been craving it all day. You left it there in the fridge. It's wrapped up really nice. All you're going to do is just unwrap it, heat it up, and you're going to eat it. It's good. All the juices have all meshed together now. Everything is just kind of set for some hours. You are hungry for it. You get home, you open up the fridge, and it's gone. Hey, who ate my food? Oh, I didn't know you still wanted that. I ate it. You expected it, and now you got frustrated because your expectation was not met. You expected to eat it. You expected for it to be there, and it wasn't there. You know, you expected for God to do this. You expected for God to meet you there. You expect all these things, and it doesn't happen. And you know what? You get frustrated. You got to check your expectations. What were you expecting for the church to do? What were you expecting for the relationship to be? What were you expecting for God to do? And you have to ask yourself, were my expectations reasonable? I know we like to always pretend like, you know, everybody else should be just as perfect as we think we are, right? But we have to ask ourselves, am I meeting the expectations that I expect of others? Oftentimes in my past, I would be hurt by people and I'd be frustrated by them because I expected something out of them and I did not see the return. But I had to ask myself a couple questions. Was I willing to meet them halfway in the expectation? Most times, no. Was I expecting something out of people that they themselves could not deliver? I was expecting perfection out of people. I was expecting people to never let me down. I let people down all the time. That's just a part of life. As a human being, I can't keep all of my promises. I really try my best to. It's people out there in the world, I still say, I'm gonna sit down and meet with them. And it's so difficult to because it's just one of me and it's everybody else. Most times our intentions are right, but our capabilities and our ability to actually meet the intention, they sometimes just don't match up. Does that make me a bad person because I can't meet it? I can't meet the whatever that promise was. That make me a bad person. It just means that maybe something got in the way. And a lot of times I wasn't being graceful. I wasn't being merciful. I wasn't realizing that people go through real things. Believe it or not, people go through real things. And the old saying is true. Hurting people hurt people. That people come around, man, and because they are hurt in their heart, they'll hurt you. I know because I was hurt, there were many people who I relate with, many people, old friends and things like that I would begin to relate with and I would get encouraged with in the beginning, and because of the hurt that was in my heart, I would hurt them. And now I'm hurting them, and I'm hurting them, and I'm hurting them, and I'm hurting them, and I'm blaming them for the issue, which I had to realize was emotional abuse. I'm blaming them for being the issue, which in actuality, I'm part of the issue myself. I'm going around telling people I'm hurt. I don't trust anybody. The trust didn't have anything to do with the people. The people are just going to be the people. The things are just going to be the things. The experiences will be the experiences. But I had to look at myself in the mirror and I had to say, what am I expecting out of people? And if what am I expecting out of them isn't even valid? Am I even expecting the same thing out of myself? Are my expectations so high that they've just crossed the expectations of God? That God didn't even expect as much out of the other person as you do. Because we're expecting perfection. We're expecting for them never to fail. We're expecting for them to always be there when we need them. We're expecting for them to always text us when they can. We're expecting for them always to call. We're expecting for them always to give. And oftentimes that just doesn't happen. So you have to ask yourself, am I frustrated? Am I hurt because I have unmet expectations? Because I have unrighteous expectations? Because I have these lofty expectations that even I don't obey? That's important for you to consider. The next thing that I had to do to understand that the hurt that was in my heart and how to overcome that stuff was really begin to just look at my own life and say, you know what, Cornelius? If you keep doing this, if you keep allowing for this wall of hurt in front of you, if you keep that wall up, and you never let anybody get around that wall, you know what's going to happen? You're going to miss out on some great opportunities. You're going to miss out on some great friendships because you just left that wall of hurt up. You know, as a pastor, you know, I don't want to be isolated. But you know, because I've been hurt by other pastors, I get my wall up and I say, no, I don't want to converse with another pastor. And it's just a trick of the enemy, because what the enemy does not want us to think is he does not want us to get together. Why? Because one can put 1,000 to flight, two, 10,000. Two pastors in the same community can do more together, with their ingenuity and their passion and with their influence and with their following. They can do more together than they can do apart. And the enemy knows that, so he tries to disunify those that can be brought together. Because with sheep, there's strength in unity. But the wall of hurt says, nope, I'm not going to let anybody else get in here because I've always been hurt before. And I had to ask myself that question. Do I want to continue to live like that? Do I want to continue to live knowing that I have hurt in my heart and that I'm not moving in the direction I'm supposed to because I have hurt in my heart? I couldn't do that anymore. I had to let that wall down. And you know something I had to finally admit to myself? Cornelius, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. But instead of focusing on the hurt that was caused towards you, You have to mature above that hurt and ask yourself, how are you going to respond to it? Will you respond to that hurt lovingly? Will you respond to that hurt and look at people and say, you know what, that person is hurting. And now I need to be more graceful and more loving and more merciful. I know you may hear that and you may say, hey, listen, I just don't have time for that. That's just the word for itself. That's us being believers and saying, I'm going to be light in the midst of darkness. That I want to learn how to mature above other people's ability to hurt me. So when they try to hurt me with words, how can I now bless them with encouragement? You see what I'm saying? That's maturity. Instead of saying, I've been hurt, I'm never going to trust anybody again, I don't want to get married because I've been hurt, and I don't want to be in another relationship because I'm going to get hurt. And you miss all these great opportunities. You miss all these great relationships because you just don't want to be hurt anymore. And I'm telling you, you're missing out on great things of life. You're missing out. You know, some of you may be mad at God right now because you're like, oh, I'm mad at God and because I didn't get my expectations met and these things didn't happen and these things didn't happen. You got to let that stuff go. You got to break down that wall of trust. And for those individuals who are saying, I hear what you're saying, Cornelius, but my problem is, shouldn't we be wise? Shouldn't we be wise enough to know not to get into hurtful situations? Absolutely. I'm not saying to despise discernment. That would be foolish. I'm not saying to despise the Holy Spirit and just go out and just try to just be trusting of everything. I'm not telling you to trust the cobra because it will strike you. What I am saying is don't be afraid of walking by the cobra. Don't be afraid. Don't have fear. Don't have fear in thinking that everything is out to get you, that all the cobras in the world are out to get you. No, some of them are just going around looking for food. You just got in the way. You see what I'm saying? Not everybody's not out to get you. You are not always the victim. If you keep playing that victim role, having that victim mentality, you're just going to continue to be the victim. But until you rise up and say, you know what, I'm moving in the direction I'm supposed to go. I'm going in the path I'm supposed to walk into, and I'm not going to live with this hurt anymore. That is when you're going to find true freedom. When you make the decision that you're going to be the leader and you're not going to allow for the hurt to continue to hurt you. And what I mean by hurting you is I mean stopping you and halting you and yielding you from the point of having those great opportunities and having those great relationships because you have that big wall built up. I hope this encourages you. If you're not a part of a local church, I pray that you would join a local church somewhere. You need to gather with other people. And ultimately, when you gather with other people, and if you're the strong friend, if you're the weak friend, if somebody asks you, how are you doing? Respond kindly to them and tell them the truth. It's time for transparency. Let's make that a movement. But if you're not part of a local church, you need to gather somewhere. If you're in Atlanta, Georgia, we'd love to have you at the Gathering Oasis Church. You can always get that at thegatheringoasis.com. Or gatheringoasischurch.com, rather. Gatheringoasischurch.com. I want you to gather somewhere with like-minded believers. The Word of God tells us that. I want you to do that. I want you to gather together. I want you to grow through and by the reading of the Word of God. Grow through and by encouragement and just encouraging one another, edifying one another in the faith. Then ultimately go out and share this information with somebody else. You may meet hurting people on the bus. You may meet them at school. You may know them in your own household. Share this information. Be passionate. Have that testimony of saying, I've been where you are, but I'm being set free. It's time for us to get up, grow, and go. Amen. God bless y'all so much. Make sure you subscribe. God bless you.